What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know we about to get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that I'm kicking. I appreciate all the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. Gracias. So yesterday I'm doing a live, right? Myself and Dubs, and an old name from the past gets brought up. Someone asks me, or they asked me, hey, do you know this guy? And I did, and I kind of chuckled to myself and thought, there's some content there. There's a big, elaborate story to this individual. Now, I'm not going to mention his name on here because to do so would be frivolous, right? I don't know where he's at in this world right now, but where I know he's at, there's a few holes in him. So I'm going to explain the situation, how this one individual played norteño, sureño, norteño again, and then got aired out. So trip out on this. You know, when I got out of YA, there was a lot of homeboys from my neighborhood that I didn't quite know. I hadn't been around for about 7 years. So I missed out on a lot of the jumping people in, people coming through the hood, establishing, whatever. So kind of like when I got out, it was just whoever's from the hood's from the hood. If the homeboy stabbed him, verified him, it's all good. Who was I to speak on anything? I was in my own zone, my own lane. I was about furthering the cause, furthering the Norteño movement. To tell you the truth, man, I loved my neighborhood, but I could care less what was really going on outside of, all the politics and everything. I was more into the Norteño cause as a whole. Okay, and I was one of those guys when I got out, I was trying to bring all barrios together, stop red on red, because I did a lot of time with guys from San San Fran, Tulare County. So my thing was, hey, I didn't trip off no homeboys, period. Unless you tripped off me. Now, in Merced, there was a rivalry between the north side and the west side. Me being from the west side, I grew up with them guys from the north side, went to school with them, but we developed an opposition towards each other. We didn't like each other. I got locked up throughout the shenanigans again, so whatever was happening on the streets was happening without me. So I didn't participate as much on the red on red, in the town. But when I got out, there was some incidents that went down we can't speak about. Now, I'll tell you this. There was a homeboy that was from my neighborhood that I guess got involved while I was locked up. So I didn't know him. When I got introduced to him, I liked him. I liked him from the rip, right from the gate. He was more of a partying homeboy. Like yeah, party Crips. He was a party Norte, right? He used to go party with all the older homeboys and chill. He was a couple years older than me. And so I respected the homeboy that he kicked it with was my best friend's brother, his big brother. So it was kind of like if he's hanging around with these guys, these dudes, they might be into the party and shit, but they're fucking hitters. He's around some real ones. So he must be a real one. And they brought him around and we got introduced and hey, just a homie from the hood, whoop-de-whoop. And I'm like, all right, cool. Now, little did I know that this guy grew up in Winton. Winton is a little small speck of a town right outside Merced. It's right by Atwater. It's overpopulated with Southsiders, meaning the Southsiders have a stronghold in Winton. They have a stronghold in Atwater, right? Merced, not necessarily. There are some, but they only peek their head out, when it's comfortable for them. Or it used to be like that. Now they're everywhere, but back then it was different. There was northern cities, southern cities up north. That's just how that went. And Winton was definitely a stronghold for the Southsiders. So was the Atwater area. So this guy grew up in between Winton and Atwater. And how he found himself into being from my neighborhood in Merced, he just hung around with who he hung around with, right? So we never thought about his past relationship, his past friendships. Again, who was I to question him? He was a homie from the hood. It was all good. So there's a party that gets thrown. And this party, it was at a homeboy's house that I really didn't care for or get along with. He was an older homeboy, but at the same time, he thought he was balling. He'd push his weight around. He had a nice pad, though. He invited everyone. So I went with this homeboy to the party. Me, him, and a couple other little homies. And we pull up. Now, prior to going to this party, about 2 years before, there was a homeboy that got caught up in a murder case. And it was pretty publicized in Merced, man. He killed a homeboy over a pager. Okay, over a pager that wasn't even hooked up. And he ended up catching 40 years to life for this incident. In fact, he just recently got out, due to the law changes. He was able to wiggle, but he ended up catching 40 to life, and he was a very well-known homeboy from my neighborhood. There's going to be dudes that make comments that know who he was. And there was an individual who had told on him. One of his crime partners had flipped on him. A dude named, excuse me, I just had Burger King and I'm burping. A guy named Eddie Munster, right? And so as we pull up to this party, there's a gang of chicks. Everyone's kicking in the backyard, beers flowing. I recognize that dude, Eddie Munster. He'd been missing in action for a couple of years. The homeboy's already locked up in the pen or fighting his case still. And this dude who had made statements on him is right here in this backyard with a gang of chicks. So immediately when I see him, I go into full go active mode, right? I tell the homeboy, the one that the story's about, I'm like, hey, bro, yeah, I'm gonna make an ultimate sacrifice right now. I'm gonna make a move on this guy, right? Now the move was gonna be ultimate. And he talked me down. He was like, nah, bro, there's a gang of chicks here, a gang of witnesses. And I'm like, it's cool. I'm going to pull him away in the cuts to talk to him. He doesn't even see it coming, and I'm just going to bop him. And he was like, nah, bro, that's just the homeboy's house. He's going to flip. People are going to rat on you. You know, it's just too much. And thank God that he talked me down from that ledge, because I'm going to tell you right now, I would never be here. You guys would never know of me. I'd be doing life. And it'd be an unfortunate situation. But I was close, right? But that didn't mean I was going to let this dude slide just because of that. So, of course, I called up a couple more homies like, hey, I caught this dude slipping. He's back here. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know me like that, because you got to understand, at the time, I was locked up in YA. I did all those years, so he didn't really recognize me or know who I was. He just seen me, another Northerner there at the party. Didn't know I was from the hood like that. Seen the other homeboy from the hood, didn't know him either, because he had just got put on recently. So it was a situation where he was slipping. He was lacking, right? So, of course, I called the other homeboys. We come through. I knew as soon as they get there, he's going to recognize. We catch this dude in the corner, and all of a sudden, there's a beer bottle. He has a beer bottle imprint on his head. And it is what it is, right? He gets mollywopped, and he's able to live, Craig, to fight another day. And so anyways, the bottle's gone, whatever. And I always realized that homeboy talked me out of that shit. I was like, man, you're a good, solid homeboy. You put the bullshit to the side, even though we're supposed to get off where we're mad at and clean up, you know, the snitches and all that. You helped me out. And I'll forever be indebted. So he was a solid homeboy. Everywhere we went, he was hollering Norte. He was hollering Nevada. It was all good. Well, a couple years passed, and I've already been to prison, not prison, but I'm in county jails, in and out. You know, I'm in the mix. And the YA is way behind me now. The YA shit, the CYA is in the past. And so now I'm functioning, doing my thing as a solid homeboy. And there's a robbery that takes place. Now, I had a homeboy that was balling at the time. I'm not going to say his name. He ended up going to the feds, catching a case, doing his time, but he was super balling, and everybody knew he was balling. In fact, his dad was on America's Most Wanted for cultivation of cocaine, so he was really in the mix like that. And Vato had the plush job where you wouldn't even suspect it. He worked at a gas station, right? And but he was balling out of control at that time. And so what had happened was, him and his old lady's pad, he had a safe there. And I guess in that safe, there was a gang of bricks and some money or whatever. And the homie that I'm talking about, he knew that was like his taita, bro. They hung around together all the time. He knew what old boy had in the safe at his old lady's house, right? So while the homeboy was at work, this dude pulled a sneaky ass move. And again, remember, he grew up in Atwater and Winton, which is predominantly a section of Southsiders. So he got with a few Southsiders, and I don't know, man, you know, in the hostility type shit, North and South collaboration, they decided to go lay the homegirl down, the homeboy's wife or his chick, and steal the safe. Now, as they're pulling up in a beat up ass whip, which was their getaway car, and they're all masked up, they go in, they lay the chick down, whatever, tie her up, grab the safe. Safe's heavy, right? So as they're trying to put it in back of this fucked up Nova, I guess the neighbors, they live like in a little apartment complex. It was like duplexes, right? The neighbors seen guys outside with masks and called the cops. So the cops pull up as these guys are loading up the safe. Get out! Lay everybody down. These guys don't even fight the Philly. One of them tries to run. Cops snatch him. But they catch these guys. Take the masks off, and the chick's eyes are wide. She sees it's the homie. The dude who's at her house all the time. The dude who's fucking with her old man. It's his taita. It's his best friend, right? And, man, cops fucking get him. They demand that she opens up the safe. Now, her rights, she doesn't have to, but she does. They play her out of pocket. She opens the safe. So as she opens up the safe, they find 4 bricks, some money, whatever, right? They ask her who it is. They break her. She says it's my old man. He's at work. They go snatch the homeboy up. He's facing a federal case on this. Even though it was found at her house, she kind of goes against the grain and tells on him a little bit. That same homeboy, man, he can't believe it. His own homeboy was trying to rob him, right? With some Southerners. Trying to rob a Northerner. It's a Northerner and some Southsiders trying to rob another Northerner. Unfortunately, the word goes out on the streets, hey, this Volta pulled the lick on the homeboy. He's to be got, right? So everyone's looking for him, all point bulletin, but he disappears. He disappears, man, and no one can find him. The court case goes, the homeboy catches the Fed case. That Volta literally goes on stand and testifies that the homeboy was some big ball or whatever. Catches his little time. I guess he did his little time on the fucking case or whatever. Anyways, he PCs up, whatever, goes on the other side. So homeboys are looking for him, can't find him. And I have a baby's mom, okay? And it's my first baby's mom. And because I got 4 of them, right? But it's my first baby's mom. And one day she gets a hold of me. This is back when my oldest daughter was very young, right? And I had custody of her. Like I had her with me. So her mom would call here and there and see what was going on with her. And we're happy to be conversing. And I hear a guy's voice in the background that I recognize. Now it's years later. Years later, I kind of like forget about that dude. Everyone in the hood, he disappears. So they're like, he ain't going to come around because he robbed the homeboy, right? And testified against him. So chilling, and I hear a voice in the background that I recognize the dude. Now you got to understand, I'm not with my baby's mom at this time for years. So I don't care about her being with dudes. She had fucked several old men between that time and that time. But I recognize this guy's voice. So I said, who's that? She saw, it's my old man and shit. And then she gets kind of quiet. I'm like, your old man? And she was like, yeah, if I tell you who I'm with, don't trip. And I was like, who? Well, it happens to be old boy, right? And I don't care that she's with them. Like, she's tripping off. I'm like, bitch, I don't give a fuck if you're putting, I don't care if Wes Watson blows your shit out, right? It doesn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? You guys could have a fucking competition. Whose asshole compared to your pussy is blown out more? So I'm not even tripping off that. But I'm like, put him on the phone. Where are you in that little shenanigans you pulled on the homies? They say, right? So he gets on the phone, bought that balls. But you guys ought to understand, me and him were cool. Like, we've never talked since then, since that whole shit went down. So I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, what's up, fool? What's up with it? He was like, hey, my bad, bro. I didn't know this was your baby mama. This, everybody knew. But I was like, I don't care about all that, bro. Who gives a fuck? What's up with you? And he's like, yeah, so where you guys at? He's like, oh, we're staying out in Modesto, bro. We're doing good, man. You know what I'm saying? She's pregnant. What do you want? Whatever. I said, all right, that's cool, bro. Maybe I should slide through, man. Bring my daughter, you know what I mean? Come visit. I'm already thinking, man, I'm going to snatch him in the back and get at him. I was still active at this time. I was still in the mix, right? So automatically, my mindset, the way I think is like, I'm going to get you. You know, I'm trying to get you, bro. And I'm trying to rock old boy to sleep so he doesn't know. That was my mentality. That was stupid. It was dumb. And he's catches on quick. He's like, nah, bro, nah. So anyways, that's that. She ends up breaking up with the dude, having his kid, whatever. She moves on to some fucking Native American. Oh, that looks like fucking the Raiders, the Redskins emblem. Looks like Joe, free hashtag Joe, right? Hashtag free Joe. And so I forget all about him again. Well, anyways, it's about a year later. I'm in the county jail. And I'm there with a big homie, right? The big homie is from the opposition's neighborhood, but me and him have always been cool. Me and him, rest in peace to his brother that just passed. His name's Themo, right? From the north side, and we're chopping it up. Hey, bro, remember this, remember that? We're telling old war stories and talking about YA because he was in YA and all that. And he's well known in the town. Like, he's a big motherfucker, right? And so what happens is they release you from Sandy Mush, which is like the road cab. They release you in the evening time. So I just went to court that day. I'm getting released. He's getting released. And I'm not going to lie. I had no ride. I had nothing, right? I had no one to pick me up. So I'm like, hey, bro, is it all right if you give me a ride to my tia's house, your people's? He's like, yeah, my lady's going to pick me up. It's all good, bro. I got you. Now, you got to understand, we're enemies at this time. There was still lightweight red on red going on. There was still conflict between our two neighborhoods, but we seen the bigger picture, what was the Norteño cause. We seen past that. And that's how a lot of homeboys were that were locked up in prison or locked up in the youth authority. We didn't care about the street gang bullshit. We cared more about the prison politics and the cause, right? Forever forward. So he's like, yeah, I got you, bro. So as we're riding, we go to his pad first. And he's like, hey, my old lady's going to make us something to eat. I'm like, cool. He's like, I'll drop you off in the morning to spend the night, bro. It's all good. Fuck it. I'm here all in the enemy's neighborhood. Like, fuck it. Let's get it. And I know I'm cool with this dude because this dude is fucking with the shenanigans. Like, he's with all the business. And his homeboys ain't even going to step on his toenails. They know better. So as we're kicking it, we start talking. And old boy's name comes up. The dude that fucking did the robbery and all that. He's like, damn, where's that fool at? I said, that fool stays in Modesto. You know, last I seen, man, I said, man, I'm trying to catch up with him. He goes, yeah, me too, bro. That was fucked up what he did to the homies. And I can't believe he was with the Southsiders robbing homeboys, right? So I was like, yeah, he goes, I said, I heard him fucking switched up. For a while there, he did, man. I guess he was trying to play. When he'd be around the Southsiders, he was a Southsider. When he was around the Northerners, he was a Northerner. He was playing both sides, right? So what happens is I get the homeboy's number. He ends up dropping me off at my tia's next day, so on and so forth, right? I'm get locked up. I'm doing my time. I get out. It's years later, right? And the homeboy that had given me a ride, he moved to Modesto as well. And so he's in and out of the county jail. And every time he goes to the county jail, he's with the business. He's within the, the chain of command, all that. He becomes a northern structure, all that, right? And which I seen that coming. And one day he gets out, right? I get a hold of his brother. I get a hold of him. Like, he's like, hey, we're barbecuing in Modesto. A gang of homies here, come through. All right, boom, I slide, right? And he's like, hey, remember old boy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, hey, bro, we got him in the county. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that Vato fucking, he came into the county, and I don't know why they put him with us, but he was trying to play the actor all the time. He was from Modesto, but I recognized him, bro, and I jammed him. He was calling himself Pee-wee or Pelon or Pee-wee. I think it was Pelon. He was calling himself Pelon, which I guess was his nickname as a South. He was all confused, man. Like I said, he would try to play the North when he was with them and try to play the South when he was with them. And the homies got him, aired him out, right? They metaflighted him out of there. They didn't kill him, but they got him. And all this stemmed from him playing both sides. So it's not done. He ends up getting locked up, catching a prison term, that same dude. And he goes on the SNY side, right? And he becomes a new flower, okay? Now, what happens is, for people that don't know what a Nueva Flor is, a new flower, some people consider them a dropout gang. They are an active gang that basically don't agree with the policies and the politics of a certain organization on the northern side, right? And so they do their own thing. They still got yards. They're considered active. By some, they're not, but by what I know of them, they are, right? And so this fool's trying to be one or whatever. He's trying to claim that. Like I said, he was all over the place with him. It was whatever was clever, which was cool because I always like to do. Like I said, man, he saved me from a lifetime of incarceration, but still, I didn't like the fact that he played both sides, especially when I was active. That was a serious offense. So this guy, he ends up catching a stabbing as a new flower on a bulldog. They catch him to the Bulldogs. Bulldogs mistake him for active Northerners. It is what it is. Bulldogs take off. He books one of them. He goes to Pelican Bay. This vault is all in the Bay. Now he's trying to switch up and saying that he was an undercover spy and he's an 8-town sureño, right? And the south side, his celly, catches him and chokes him out a little bit, tries to air him out, stabs him again. And so this guy ends up, I don't know where he's at anymore, right? But he ends up getting out from there. The homeboys are laughing about it. Like, all this for what? All this playing both sides for real. What did he get out of it? Just a whole bunch of air pockets and a shit bag. That's all he got out of the situation. And another kid by my baby mama, right? It's a trip. But, I think back, and when the Vato mentioned his name, the only reason I'm telling the story because the guy mentioned his name, like, oh, that was a good homie. Like, look, to me, he was a good homie. To other people, he did him dirty. In the game, you're a product of your word and how you carry yourself around people. And I always wondered why he did that, but come to find out the story is like this. He grew up with the Southsiders, so he never got jumped in, but he was good friends with them. And then when he did get jumped into a Vadu, because he didn't move to Merced, he just came to Merced, got hooked up with the homeboys, got put on. He still had a lot of loyalty and love for them Southsiders, and they had respect for him regardless of what he was. It's just how it is. That's why Northern California is tricky, man. You'll see upstaters and Northerners that hate each other, and then a lot of them are family members. It's a trick. I had the same thing going on, man. One of my family members established A-Town, right? The Southside Stronghold in Atwater. So it was kind of like a situation where if I was around him and his homeboys, I wasn't tripping. But if we were out in the streets, we were tripping. It's hard to understand unless you're from Northern California. That's the way it goes. But that's just the story of this dude, man. How he fucking played both sides until he couldn't play them no more and he got aired out by both sides. With that being said, it's an old school story that I'm telling, but it's something I just remembered from them bringing up his name. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. Let me know if you guys want a Super Norteño. I got one of him and Pepe on deck, and I'll hit you guys with it later on. This is the gun. I appreciate all the support that I get, man, tremendously. You guys don't even know, man. With that being said, I'm going to get on up out of here. Let me know if you guys want a Super Norteño so I can bop you upside the head with it, man. Make sure you guys go over to the Gunners Collective TV. I'm dropping bangers every day. And go support Dub's channels, man. Indubitably. The gun. Bang, bang.